What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye and Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through this MLB slate. Then we will transition over to some NBA talk. And this is the man you got to listen to for NBA because he just took down the big one last night. So still riding high off that. I was actually, you know what, Sheets, I have a confession to make. I was actually a little bit extra excited because I put I just was messing around on StakeKings and I had like 20 something bucks on it. So I wanted
let's go.
Yeah, so I
let's go.
Sitting there with you last
night.
That
made it all worth it. Oh, that's sick.
You made me some money.
That's awesome.
So that was helpful. Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Well, you should shout that out. You should. Okay, so if you want to get into some action, I mean, we both Bobby and I put our stuff up on StakeKings. Yeah. And I try to turn it into a decent sweat sometimes in the Discord channel. I don't know.
Well, let's go back to
back. Code or anything, or
what's that?
You have a promo code or anything? I forget what we have
for StakeKings. It's if you're signing up, use promo code TrueDFS.
Okay.
And did want just real quick, I guess, before we get into everything else, I guess I may as well throw out the look. I'll be doing a show with James from PayDirt tomorrow, and we partnered with PayDirt as well as SaberSim. So I just want to encourage everybody to check out the packages. You can try to do the trials again, even if you've done them before, because we have changed our offering, and very soon we'll have a new site. But all the information's up there. It's just going to make it look prettier shortly. Anyway,
what time is that thing tomorrow? When are you doing that?
At 1:30 Eastern.
Okay. Yeah.
I just want him to sort of take me.
I'm gonna be busy.
Yeah. And you know his stuff a little bit better than the PayDirt stuff a little bit better than I do.
Not as well as you think. Actually.
Okay. And by the way, we did have another big winner last night. One of our true DFSers. I mean, it was smaller stakes, but turned to $100 into I think 10K or so. Something.
Are you serious?
Maybe I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a big one.
That's really big. Are you kidding?
Yeah. So it was whatever it was. He did a great job.
Better ROI than I had. I won 50,000. It's like
it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you got the 100 to the 500x ROI.
Right.
All right. So let's talk. Let's jump into this one. What are you coming up with? What are your projections like in here?
Well, the projections are I presume gonna play Logan Webb and Michael Lorenzen. Those are like the top. That looks like the pairing. But I mean, there are other guys, right? I mean, Freddie Peralta. Yeah, he's got a lot of upside, obviously. I prefer Peralta to Logan Webb in general. You know what I mean? I don't know. Logan Webb did have a really, really nice game, I think, in his last one. Where's the one before?
For DFS, I can understand that. I think Webb's a much better pitcher, but.
Oh, you do? Okay.
For DFS, I just think Webb's I think he's like an elite level pitcher. He just is not a strikeout pitcher. But I hear you. I think those are my top two. Is Webb then Peralta for me.
Can you play both of them?
Yeah, and the one someone's gonna have to explain to me exactly why Heaney is as low owned as he is and why the projections seem to like the Angels as much as they do and why the run total is so high for the Angels. It's all I like the idea of getting against Heaney when we're when it's going to be low owned. It's not going to be, it's still lowish owned, but why is the run total so high? Heaney's been really good so far to start the season. That's one that I sort of flagged as I definitely want to be over the field on him. So he's probably the biggest difference to the field of guys that I'm playing would be Andrew Heaney. So what types of stacks are you getting to?
I don't know. So I'm building right now. If I was just looking at the projections, I would Texas kind of stands out again. And then the same as last night, like KC, Texas, KC, and Minnesota, the exact same three teams. And then the Dodgers. I mean, you know what I mean? It's literally the same as last night.
Yeah, and that's what happens in these series sometimes. I have the three teams that I wanted to force at least a decent amount of exposure into were the Dodgers, Texas, and the A's as well. I think all three of them are in good spots. The thing that I'm getting, and I don't think I'm going to change it today. I'm going to be a little bit more projections reliant in certain days. So I think I'm going to be a little bit more into the fact that it's giving me the Colorado and the White Sox doesn't really bother me. I kind of like those as contrarian plays, especially in the lottery. Now, my high buy-in ones will probably contain a lot of Dodgers, Texas, and Athletics. But at the lower end, I think that taking some shots with the White Sox and Colorado isn't too bad.
It looks like for those of you that are playing the Angels, I think Logan O'Hoppe might be out.
Yeah, he's out. I just got that note too.
Yeah.
But
you know what I'm getting? I've been running. I ran the Sims just now, and I made a rule requiring some more min uniques, and so I'm getting spread out a little bit. I'm actually getting some Tampa. Tampa, like some really offbeat ones. I've got some God help me stacks, like Colorado, White Sox, some Milwaukee against Logan Webb, but back to the Dodgers also. So I guess the idea with Oakland is it's just going to be too chalky again. I guess.
I don't think Oakland's going to be especially popular. Like Texas is going to be much more popular than Oakland.
That's true. That's true.
But the one that's sort of throwing me is, are people just afraid to go back to the Twins because they had a down night? Because you've got a bad bullpen-ish game against them, and they've got, I think they might have the highest run total on the slate. Yeah, 5.4. You'd think that the Twins would be the ones that are showing up, but I'm not seeing them both. Either the projections loving them or the ownership seems a little lower than I would have thought. Now they are tough because you get the pinch hit stuff with them, and it gets tricky with the bullpen game. But it seems like a pretty damn good spot and a very cheap stack. So that was another one that sort of stood out to me. What's up to my guy K9 in the chat? And I'm just going to take a quick look at one more thing here because I want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, and I think this is more, for me, this is more of a, yeah, I'm not going to get cute like I did the morning. I actually did fine in the morning slate, all because of one lineup, but it was a hand-built lineup anyway, but it was a 4-3-1, and it finished decently in the perfect game, so that was fine.
Yeah, I got like 35th or something like that in the perfect game.
Yeah.
Like a couple hundred, whatever the hell that was. Yeah, I used the I didn't use the Rodon, but I used the other good one. I used the Tigers pitcher.
Yeah. Oh yeah. AJ's asking what to think about the Cubs. Sure.
Sure, why not? Hey, we underestimated the small wind in Chicago last night to put up a 20 ball.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that had to do with the wind.
We had two good pitchers also. No, no. Those home runs, they were like those looked like pretty Wrigley home runs.
Did you see the one that Pages hit? That ball was hit like 7 miles. That was maybe one of the furthest balls hit of the year. It was out of the stadium.
I didn't see that one.
Like left center. The ones I saw did not look. There was really.
They didn't look wind dated.
I didn't think there was any wind relevance. But the Cubs look, overall, the Dodgers have a good bullpen. They're going to have bad nights. That's why I would encourage everybody not to look at bullpen stats. You have literally one game for bullpens early in the season. If they have one bad game, the game where the bullpen gave up 17 runs to the Red Sox, for example, it doesn't mean anything. It's just you're just looking at bad stats. That would be my way of explaining it, at least my thought process on it.
By the way, I would like to when we get into the NBA too, I would like to give a little more color on my play last night. I was able to do as I say, not as I do last night. I was really focusing on all the late swap gaps last night.
Yeah.
At every sport, every gap, I was able to run stuff. And I don't know. I didn't get a chance to check what my lineups look like before and after, although you can check that. But the results are just too overwhelming. Like the times that I really do well, almost always it's because I was been able to pay attention in late swap. There's some times that I get lucky and I just put my stuff in at 4:00 and it just stays there or whatever. But most of the time that I do well, it's because I was able to late swap.
And that's one other, and speaking of this specific baseball slate, it's another reason. Like I got on, like my only good lineups last night were the Rangers, which I always was going to play some of it with some A's. But I got onto some of the Milwaukee who scored 11 runs and went nuts. And part of it is because if you are late swapping and you're playing the late, like I like the later games in general. And if you like the later games enough and you have them like, let's say you have Texas, the A's, and Arizona the same as Kansas City, the Cubs, and the Dodgers, you should be, to me, I think there is an advantage to being able to late swap and delaying it if you think that they're fairly similar. And everybody plays different ways, and trusting the projections is an important part of it. But I do think there's an advantage to being able to get some of that stuff. And the Milwaukee was nowhere near my radar last night, yet some of my stacks, because I had some pitching mishaps, that's what I ended up with, and they ended up didn't win me a tournament, but it saved me cashing in big buy-ins, which I appreciated.
I also want to go on record saying that I think like Lorenzen as chalk is not a good play. But.
Interesting. Yeah, I again, I think there's a good argument for the other side of that. I also think Matthew Boyd against the Dodgers has reasonably somewhat of chalk.
Matthew Boyd is playing baseball.
Yeah, he's back.
That's amazing.
And he's already pitched against the Dodgers this year.
I guess if Edward Rodriguez is playing baseball, why shouldn't Matthew Boyd, I guess?
Well, he had the injuries, the Boyd thing, and had a very he literally went from finishing second or third in the Cy Young voting to being the worst pitcher in baseball in 1 year. But he's become a good pitcher again. But I'm not messing with this. And last night it worked out well. That's another reason why you could save some things. Like I was just like, okay, I don't care that I'm getting all the Bubic and Ober, and that was what you wanted to do.
Yep. You know what? Last night I was talking about this on the live stream. It was with the exception of the Dodgers Cubs, it was a pretty chalky slate. I mean, the Texas Oakland game sort of delivered, but the two chalk pitchers just they just got there, and they got there in a little different ways. Like Ober was a little fishy the whole game.
He just had runners on. I don't know. It's always interesting how people look at it, because I've always I have a lot of respect for pitchers who can pitch with runners on. I think it's much harder to do. And he's one of those guys.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, as a real life pitcher, it's a respect. But with DFS thing, like Bubic just cruised. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bubic,
it was automatic.
He when he got all those lefties who couldn't touch him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It did look like it was a very different type of performances from each of them.
Yeah.
But tonight I feel like I'm a little more spread out, but like I don't think I need to play 20% Matthew Boyd at 20% ownership. I think I'd rather just play Heaney in that. Like, why wouldn't I rather play Heaney against the Angels and I'd rather play Boyd against the Dodgers? That seems stupid. Like, I don't get it. I don't buy the projections. I'm not aligned with them on.
So it's Travis Darno who took over. I didn't even know he was still in the league. I just didn't know he was on the Angels.
Right.
Joe Adell, there he is.
So. Yeah, and by the way, my bold take of the night is that Heaney ends up with the most strikeouts of any pitcher on this slate. Now, the flip side is I think that he also is the most likely to give up 10 runs and actually stay in the game long enough to give up 10 runs. So one of those happens.
Has he been – again, I'm just really talking out of my ass here. I thought that actually Heaney kind of tapered that approach, that he's not as big of a strikeout guy as he was.
I think he just struck out 10 in like 4 innings the other day.
No. Okay, no. Maybe I was mistaken. I thought he was like working on his control a little bit more, and
that was the word I had heard too. I don't know that the guys like that have it necessarily in them. I think he had a 10 strikeout game against the Yankees. Then he had a 6 strikeout in 6 innings game, but he's given up runs and he's still putting up like not bad numbers. And then he had a bad one against Washington, which everybody does. Washington doesn't strike out all that much. But the Angels with almost a 5-run total against Heaney. Very little respect for this Heaney. Interesting. We'll see. He's given up 6, 1, and 0 in his 3 starts, I think. No, he had a 4th start too. I think he gave up 1 in that one as well. It's interesting. I mean, again, both sides of it. It just surprised me because I saw Heaney pitch against the Yankees in New York, Heaney pitched against the Yankees earlier in the season. I don't believe it was in New York actually, but no, it must have been. Anyway, whatever it was, the Yankee total was the same total. This is what I heard anyway, as the total for the Angels today, and that's just a weird. I'm like, okay, where is this coming from? Because it's not like exceptional hitting weather. It's kind of cool for Angels Stadium. It just surprised me. But it is there does what I would say is there appears to be a lot of good stacks tonight. I'm not gonna there's like almost nobody I wouldn't have some interest in outside of maybe the Milwaukee San Francisco game. But everybody else, there's reasonable totals. The weather is better. It's not like we're dealing with 40 degrees and winds blowing in anymore. We're getting to that part of the year. So again, maybe it's an argument for spreading out more, or really trying to convince yourself that one is much, much better than the other. But for me, it's going to be that my big buy-ins are going to be Dodgers, Texas, and Athletics, which again will give me some swappability with the Texas Athletics part of it. And then I like the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers in the early part, and then I like the Colorado and the White Sox are going to be the other ones that I'm sort of okay getting contrarian with. When everything looks similar, I like tell me what you think about it. To me, that makes me feel like I like getting weird with it when everything looks sort of similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No pitcher really stands out. No stacks overwhelmingly stand out to me.
I want to share something else that Adam, when you were in Adam Perry and I did a baseball one, I think, yeah, and we were talking about a couple of things, and one theory, and I've started to do this in the last couple of slates, that it hasn't really been proven yet, but apparently there's some talk that setting a minimum of 49,000 in baseball is something worth doing. The default one on Saberson is 48,000. I usually
it depends on the slate. If the slate had one more game on it, it would be 49.
Oh, okay.
They change it to size of the slate.
Oh, but I'm just saying that in general, I mean that leaving too much money on the table is not as acceptable as I thought it might be. But I haven't proved it or anything like that. That's why I said I don't want to completely change my process without getting into a little bit more. But that's just something I've been doing. I've been setting a 49,000 minimum.
Yeah, so I do in basketball because they'll do that with basketball sometimes, and it doesn't make any sense to me in basketball why they go down to 45,000 or whatever it is, even on 3-game slates. But the baseball one, I really don't care. And
well, what's good about it, by the way, now this is kind of offbeat, but one of the reasons why you get some of these we talked about this, leaving this money on the table, is sometimes Saberson really just wants to just put all 5-man stacks in. And in FanDuel, 4-4s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it ends up leaving money on the table. So if you set it to require 49,000, you're also going to be getting more non-5-man stacks, which I know you like. So
that's true.
That's
but there is so the only problem I have with that way of doing things is I don't think there's a gap between these guys that's relevant enough for us to try to wait like that, except for the home run upside for certain guys. But
okay.
I just don't. I don't know. For me personally, I would rather just I would rather leave it a little bit spread and then figure out what I want. My hand builds, I'm always going to end up using most of my salary. It's just what's going to happen. Yeah. But in baseball, I don't mind that. I think you do. I think that both ways work. It also is interesting because if you have the correlation, but you have the exact same similar, say you have a 30% on stack and you're using all your salary, but if you were using, if you left 1,500 on the table with that same thing, you're at least differentiating yourself from a slew of other people who have that same 5-man stack.
That's true.
Scott's asking a question. He says you don't use the preset value in the SS that's supposedly been. Oh, it's been back tested. Yeah, that's what he was saying.
What is he asking? I don't have the chat on.
Actually, wait, no. You were talking about it. You weren't saying it. He said you don't use the preset. He said with a question mark. You don't use
the preset value in Saber. Preset value of what? What is he asking?
He's basically asking a question that you were just discussing.
You mean about the salary?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's what I'm saying, Scott. Is that there's talk that the 48,000 is fluff, and that you should be bringing it to 49,000. That's just talk among people who do this stuff. Now I'm not challenging. But I am challenging.
By the way, this is not a thing because SaberSim doesn't do this. I want to make it. I just want to say something. It's 47,000 like for 4-game slates. It's 48,000, I believe, 8 or less, and then it goes to 49,000 when it's 10 games or more, I believe.
Yeah. But I'm just throwing a theory out there that even in the slates where they leave 48,000, you're supposed to. There's talk that you still might be better inclined to go 49,000. I haven't proven it or everything. I'm just saying that I'm testing different things, Scott. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And baseball is a sport where it's. I'm trying to think if I don't know if there's another one that's this much. Football maybe, but you're never going to have an optimal lineup. It's just never going to happen. The optimal lineup is almost always going to leave like 10K on the table. That's just the way that it goes. It's really rare that it's not,
That's why you get all these winning lineups with zeros. You know what I mean? Like
right. You get a guy who's 0.5% owned who hits 2 home runs, and okay, there you go. But yeah, absolutely. So let me just see this real quick. I don't know if there's been a day where almost every team I feel like the projected starting lineup never comes in the way that it's supposed to. Every lineup is different, although this most recent one, which was the Giants, was what we expected. All right. So
I think the Orlando Magic, they have theirs in, right?
The Magic, I've probably had theirs in for like 4 days.
They have theirs in for the next. They were already projecting themselves to win the series. They have their starting lineup in for the next series already.
Well, let's maybe transition a little bit over and talk a little NBA, unless people have.
Yeah, let me upload what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my FanDuel lineups. I'll just for the hell of it. Again, I am going to late swap, but just to be, that person, I will say what my exposures are. So hold on, let me just.
Same here.
Yeah,
but I don't know why. So whatever the backtesting that SaberSim did into this. Now, the only thing that I guess why it works is maybe because if you play the blowout angle, but why you'd ever leave 6,000 on the table with a 3-game slate, it just would never happen. I can't see in basketball that ever being a good way to play. You know what I'm saying? Because basketball's got an even bigger one. It's 54,000 today was the default. I made it 57 on FanDuel.
The only times you could see that happening is in those weird slates where, remember those slates where Milwaukee would sit all their players, and then you'd have 3K guys with a 45 projection.
Yeah.
Then literally the optimal would probably leave 20,000.
That's true, but not in the playoffs, certainly. Obviously.
No, definitely not in the playoffs.
But you do get the weird blowout games, like the Memphis first game, for example, and there are those things.
How about the weird blowout angle? Every game Oklahoma City plays. I mean,
I'll tell you what though, if I'm them, I'm horrified of the idea of playing the Clippers. I think the Clippers beat them. That's my take, and I think that Denver could beat them as well, but won't.
Okay, so let me pull out my contest. I'm gonna tell everybody the exposures I have. Well, let's see.
All right, so I'm in
baseball, and then we can talk about basketball.
Yeah.
All right, so is this DraftKings? On DraftKings, pitching, my number one exposed player is a very unique player. It would be Logan Webb. Be my number one guy. And then the second highest guy is Freddie Peralta. So really off the board. Followed by Michael Lorenzen. Interesting. And then Erod, Taj Bradley, and David Festa.
Okay.
So pretty chalky with respect to the to that. But why is it did I not run these sims yet? Because I'm getting is everybody getting all these angels? Is that the freaking story?
So earlier on, that was what I was getting. It's not been when I reran things.
Yeah, you know what I did? I think I might have taken out my min uniques thing. Okay, so here, this is a little bit better. Yeah, so what I am going to have, I'm not going to have, I think I might have all this angels. This is ridiculous. Well, the good news is I have late swappability.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the angels. Like against anybody against Heaney can't be the wrong thing. It's just weird.
Yeah.
By the way, Darno, who is now catching for them, he's 4 for 6 with 2 home runs off of Heaney for you BVP truthers on a very small sample size.
That's amazing. So it looks like that's what it is. It looks like the Angels right now. But listen, the good thing is that it's that in that 9:40 window.
Yep.
So I can do anything I want if I feel like it.
Yeah.
No executive order yet. I could pivot from all the Angels to all the Rangers if I feel like it, or all the Athletics, or pretty much anybody, depending on what happens in these early games.
Yeah.
I would also like to do a complete non sequitur for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work from home today because we had stuff. So there was I never really watch CNBC when I'm doing my market stuff because it just really poisons me. So I have just stuff on in the background. There was a show that was basically going nonstop, episode after episode. It was on the background. It reminded me how good was freaking 6 Feet Under.
Oh, that was a great show.
The best. I mean, the best. Whatever. It was so good. It's just so good.
You don't watch Last of Us, do you?
Last of Us?
Last of Us.
I don't ever heard of it.
Oh, it's the number 1 show on TV.
Okay.
It's the second season. It's now it's a zombie thing, but it's a different type of zombie thing.
Okay.
No, it's more like it's a little more Game of Thronesy vibe, but it's really great. There's a video game that it's based on, but it's they turn it into an elegant drama kind of a thing with it. It's really good. But there was an episode this week of Last of Us, or last week they're calling it one of the greatest episodes in the history.
Well, I'll tell you something also is freaking legendary. I mean, so good. Do you see Black Mirror yet?
Yeah.
Dude, that U.S. Callister sequel was so freaking good.
I'm totally with you on this. I'm so happy you said that because
that was so good. I got shivers from that.
Yeah. It's literally I am totally with you. I was telling my son loves that show.
Yeah,
and he loves the Black Mirror, but he especially loved the first Callister. And I told him I was like, you got to watch them all, but make sure you put this on your list because this is one you want to really be watching.
I mean, and can I tell you something? The first Callister I thought was just fine. I didn't like it as much as some people did, but I thought it was okay. And then I was watching this season. I usually watch the shorter ones first. Then I watched the black and white long one, which I thought was just whatever. Yeah, and I was just saving the time to watch the last one because it was the full hour and a half. Yeah. And I watched oh my God, this is just the sickest. So good. It's
so good. It actually made me go back and watch the Callister from before.
Right.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yep. That was okay. Big difference on FanDuel, by the way. I do have a good amount of Tampa on FanDuel.
A good amount of Tampa. Interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's a 941, so that could change.
I like that idea though because we know Erod has the range of outcomes too. He's one of those guys. That's sort of how it feels with almost everybody tonight, except for Webb and Peralta. Everybody feels hittable, and every stack feels. Again, that's why maybe I'm relying a little bit more on the projections than I usually do.
Maybe I will try the Last of Us.
It's worth checking out, and it's really well made.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's you got the Game of Thrones people are in it too, so it's a little bit of that.
Now I'm not going to be the one to admit to you I've never seen Game of Thrones.
I know, but I actually think I remember you telling me that before.
Yeah.
I still think it's the greatest thing, but it's I mean. At this point, it's an undertaking. Maybe next pandemic.
But the thing is, you'll learn this, I guess, one day. Is I can't watch a full binge like that unless it's something that my wife can watch with me.
Right, but I think that for me that was how I started watching it.
Oh, really?
Time, yeah. And yeah. Strangely enough, I went through four different stages.
You think so, Scott? All right, I might get in there.
It's interesting. All right, so on have you listened
the NBA, right? The NBA. Okay. So as I mentioned before, what I like about using the Sims for the NBA, especially in a 2-gamer, is that it gets me to to at least one or two kind of pseudo hoodoos. And remember, you don't need 1% owned guys on 2 or 3 game slates. Okay. Mm-hmm. But you do need something, and that's what got there for me yesterday. I had 2 sub 20% guys. Okay. And that's all you really need. I had Randall, and then I had looked like some random play in this Dorian Finney-Smith. who just that was just enough in that tournament. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the Nemhart, who was not great, he was fine, but you know, he was low enough owned relative to the other guys. I really thought I was going to need Portis. I think he probably did in the lottery.
Yeah,
I mean, he scored like 46 fantasy points at 4,900 at 11% owned. I mean, that's exactly what you need.
right.
So what do you get?
He wasn't on the winner in that thing.
No, yeah. Well,
Stuff.
the thing is that also it was a weird thing where what's his name, as I mentioned, was just uber jammed the DiVincenzo.
Right. Well, it was hard not to, because it was really the foul trouble thing was crazy. That was a weird game last night. Very strange and very physical, but like I'm the first to admit I think the Lakers got a lot of calls there, but I mean they outplayed them anyway. The refs
but Minnesota got the two ones that were important. The two reversals on Julius Randle.
Yeah, that's right. The two that you needed. That was wild. I
didn't even realize, by the way, that Julius Randle going back to LA. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
He always crushes back in LA too, and just, but it's also like it's the perfect game for him. Like, okay, we're getting crushed, and then he can sort of do his thing.
Can I tell you, I hate his game. I always did.
You've always hated. I know. I don't know why. I actually, even when he was a Laker, I sort of had like a bias towards him because I liked him and I felt bad for him getting hurt his first game ever in the NBA, and he tore his leg and was out for a year plus and. But he's a good guy, and I think he's got a good game. I just don't. He's like in college, he could be the focal point. He should never be the focal point of your like number one option on an NBA team. But I don't mind him as like the third or fourth option.
All right, let's talk about these games first.
Okay? I've got a take on tonight's game.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna put it to you this way. So here's my first question: is Orlando ready to go into Boston and maybe win?
No.
Okay. That was my first question. So that was my only real not even weird take. But what's interesting is all of these totals are like NBA playoff totals. You know what I mean? Like this is like you thought. I mean, that games like those Laker games, I think could be in the offing for the rest of the season. You know?
Well, it depends on who's playing. If you got Indiana on the court,
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But who do you like today?
So I have my hot take of the night. I think Houston's going to win by 25 plus.
Wow.
I think they got the one they needed, the Golden State. I think Houston has a ton of firepower, and if Golden State doesn't hit them hard early, I think Houston runs away with that game. That's my take.
Okay.
What to do with it DFS wise? I'm having a hard time figuring that one out. Because like the guys who it would benefit are really more interesting for showdown than they are for actual.
I'm not playing the showdown tonight.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. I'm actually supposed to go see a movie tonight. I haven't gone to the movies in a while. I'm supposed to go see The Sinners.
Okay.
Which I heard was really good, and we've got a beautiful state-of-the-art dine-in and luxury layback bed.
They're all like that now. Yeah.
I know. I haven't been to one, but it was right next to my house, so I have to go. Anyway, but the thing I'm getting in DFS is I'm getting no matter what you set the things on, you're going to end up with a lot of Al Horford. He's going to be the highest owned player on the slate, and I don't think it's going to be close. And I don't really know what to do because there's not a lot of other value. So there's not. But again, it's not all that different from DiVincenzo last night. But maybe you just go right back to Ty Jerome would be a thing.
See that's what I was going to ask you about. Like, isn't that just the ultimate play you're just not supposed to play? Like, I'm getting like 50% of Ty Jerome, and are we just not supposed to do this? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, the guy should have probably or certainly could have won Sixth Man of the Year. It's not like he's not like a.
So that wasn't like a one-time thing from the last.
No, he did. And honestly, he's done it every single time he's had the opportunity. Like he's. So when either Mitchell or Garland were out, I tried fading him all year long. It never worked. And he's good. He's legitimately really good.
You know, to your point, by the way, I mean, I am getting all this Al Horford.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah. Now, another game, okay, I guess my other bold take is, and I like Cleveland a lot, so I don't want this to come across wrong. I think there's a chance Miami could put up a fight in this game and a little bit in this series. So what does that mean, as you would say, to the average man?
Yeah, what does that mean to the average?
Overweight, Bam, Hero, and Wiggins for me. Well overweight. Like all of those guys I have over 50% right now. And I feel good about that. And I didn't change anything to get to that. I just like that I got to it, you know? But I really like those ones. And if the game is competitive, I think Donovan Mitchell becomes too cheap, probably with his price. And maybe that's a reason to fade Jerome. To speak to your point, maybe the game is a real, but they're gonna give him the minutes anyway. That's the thing. They always do. The other one is you've got definitely some blowout risk in Boston. Maybe an unowned Peyton Pritchard because the price is too high for him. Maybe that's a way you could go. That's something I think is interesting. He's literally going to be like 2% owned, and he's 5,700. But he's got a ceiling. He just won 6th man of the year over Ty Jerome.
So Al Horford, I guess he's starting at 4,300. That's why. I mean,
it's just that the minutes and just the really. I think it's honestly more of a product that there's no other.
My top 3 owned guys right now are from the Boston. And actually 4 of the top 5 guys are Boston players.
Interesting.
I have Al Horford, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Kristoff. I have all of them, which is a really weird way to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's the lowest total. It's the highest spread. Well, it's tied for the highest spread. I mean, I certainly, if I'm going to do that, I want to make sure that I have a healthy amount of Paolo. It's just a weird way to play to stack that game.
Well, it's because of Tatum being out.
Oh, no, what? I'm such an idiot. I didn't even realize this.
No, it's no problem. I mean, he's doubtful technically. So
so wait a minute. Why I'm dumb then. I mean, they really should be favored by 11 points with Tatum out?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right.
I mean, they've played most of their season with 1 guy out every game, or 2 guys out, or 3 guys out every game.
I mean, I'm looking at one of these lineups I have that has Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, and DeAndre Hunter. I hate playing all 3 of those guys.
But that would be the guys who would extend the blowout run.
I guess so, right? Yeah.
I guess that's the thinking with the build for something like that.
Yeah.
Because they all come off the bench, even though essentially DeAndre Hunter is a starter. He's a great real life player, by the way. I thought that was that was one of the. Jimmy Butler and Luka obviously got the big news, but I thought that was an incredible trade for them.
I like Butler tonight, by the way. I'm getting a bunch of that.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away. That's going to be my hot take, is to stay away. And look, I said before this series started, I thought that there was a good chance that either team could sweep each other. I'm not buying into it again. I think Houston comes to play. They have a tough mindset. And I think this game just gets away. I just got that feeling. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
But, I wonder what Houston -20 is tonight. It's got to be something pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So Sheets, wait, there's one podcast I listen to. I want to tell you this one style of betting, which has been, these guys have been making absolutely a fortune going back to last year's playoffs.
Yeah.
They bet both teams -9.5 or minus up to 9. If the team's favored by 11.5. They'll bet them -20. So
really?
It's -9.5 on both sides, no matter what. If it's like an even game,
just play for a blowout.
Yeah, and then you play the thing, because the odds you get the crazy games. But pretty much every game has gone their way or most of the game. It's like something like 65% are going in that direction over the last 2 years of the playoffs, and they've been making a fortune. But it's on a podcast I listened to. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
And it makes sense, especially because occasionally you get that team that the -9.5 for a team that's a 15-point underdog is like, that's like 30-1 or something.
So this is definitely a where is this? 347. This is definitely going to be like a big T slate. I mean, I think that the people are going to play all these Bostons, and there's people are going to be in first place. You know what I mean? Like for a while.
Yeah.
They're going to be those, like you said, starting with Al Horford. I mean, all those guys are going to be are going to be really popular.
Mm-hmm. It's really hard to avoid it. But I'm telling you, based on these projections, if they've updated, and I think they have, this Pritchard is the best sneaky play on the slate. Why? First of all, they can blow him out. Second of all, Pritchard's going to play plenty of minutes anyway without Tatum. It's fine. He's always got upside. It's fine. Why is no one going to play him? Like, he could actually end up being the highest scoring Celtic tonight, and it wouldn't surprise me. I think this is the sneaky play that I'm going to talk myself into. And it's you don't get single digit ownership guys very often in the postseason. And I think that, and by the way, even if Horford, if he doesn't play, they usually that's what they do. They just plug in Horford. It's not against the rules for them to play Sam Hauser or start Sam Hauser this time either.
I don't think it's against the rules.
It could happen.
You got to check the executive orders.
Which two teams would you play for single entry on DK? Right now, Freddie and Festa. Play the ones you like the most.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. We went through all of them. I don't know. I sometimes feel like with baseball, it's weird because it feels like you're just telling someone what your lineup is. You know what I mean?
Oh, what are they asking? Who's your favorite?
What teams to play on DK?
In basketball?
No, in baseball.
Oh, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I said who I've got.
Well, but it depends on. Well, I don't want to dispute it, but it depends on what pitchers you're playing.
Yeah, he's playing Festa and Freddie Peralta, so pretty.
Okay,
chalk.
So that's not the chalk.
Yeah, it is. It's a second chalk. It's just not heavy.
Okay, but he's not playing Logan Webb, right? I mean,
because most people, I think most people don't like the pitchers against each other thing. But Freddie and Festa will probably be the next two most popular.
Yeah.
So second and third most, and it's a single entry, so you don't need to get as off the board.
See, I'm so used to not knowing who like the chalk is because I'm not playing it. I don't even. Who is the chalk tonight?
Texas.
Well, one thing that's good about playing Texas, by the way, Don, is that if you play Texas and things are kind of like looking fishy, you could swap out of it.
Yeah, that's true. It is a later game. I'm with Dodgers, Texas, and A's. I think the A's are a good way to get different with your Texas stacks. That would be my take.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll tell you what I am going to do. Though I'm going to try that ridiculous, not that exact style of betting, but I am going to have my friend bet -9.5, and no matter what the spread is in the next game for Memphis, they're probably going to get killed again. I have a weird feeling Memphis is going to blow them out in one game.
Very possible.
All they've done is get smashed, and they can't even stand the
I mean, it's like Oklahoma City. It's like I don't even know what they're doing. They were up 20 with 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah,
and they left all their freaking guys in.
Like, there's a little bit of idiot. I think it's dumb. I think you're risking so much for no reason.
Yeah,
and especially because your bench is like these guys are loaded.
Like Dan Campbell of
that other Jalen Williams with a Y.
Yeah,
you see what he did when he finally got to play, because he's like their 12th man, so he never gets to play. And then he plays one game, he has a triple double in the one game he got to play this year as a center. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand any of those words.
I totally understand this. I'm used to this.
Okay, what's Prague?
Brown, Przinski.
Who's that?
Porzingis. No, Brown, Porzingis.
Oh, okay, so it's okay.
And Horford.
Who's Neno?
Would you sub for Pritchard because you were high on him?
I don't know what any of this stuff means.
Okay, so he wants to sub Pritchard.
I'm not playing 4 Celtics in a lineup. That's what I'm not doing.
For single entry, you could, right? I mean,
for single entry, yeah. But I don't know if this is now. We switched conversations. We were on baseball with Don. Now we're on basketball with Don. No, I'm high on Pritchard. This is not the play that you should build your things around. This is me. This is my getting creative and having 20% of a guy who's going to be 4%.
So I'm going to lock in Pritchard now. Let's see. Lock in Pritchard, 0 Ty Jerome, and then we roll. Showdown. He's saying captain.
For Orlando, Boston.
Well, you know what? Let's have some fun. Let's do this. I'll share my screen. Right. And this is perfectly unbiased because I'm definitely not playing it. So let's pull up that slate. So first, let's do this new freaking system where you have to find the slate somehow.
Which for you is like impossible because you play every sport.
No, but even still. So there's that. And then let's wait. So single game. All right. Orlando, Boston.
That's
Okay, so let's just see what we would get. Let's build lineups. And do we want to use Saberson projections? We'll use my projections. Let's just use Saberson projections. We'll take, make one here. And let's build 2,000 lineups. And let's just see what we got.
I've really sold myself on this Pritchard thing. I think I'm in. I think I'm doing this.
All right. So, again, it depends on what type of tournament you're playing. But in general, it looks as though Banchero would be a nice captain. Horford would be a nice captain. Like all the guys that project well would be a nice captain. And then no real, oh, look at this. Who is this? You would get 45% of Corey Joseph.
In the utility. Okay. For a second,
at 2,400.
I was like, oh my God. Wait, what's his price?
2,400.
Why did they not raise his price? That's crazy.
He's starting?
Yeah.
He's going to be 100% owned, isn't he?
I don't know why he's not. Well, I guess because you got the big game out of Cole Anthony in the last game, maybe?
Yeah, I think like in single entry, I don't know how you don't play him. I mean, well, that's not true. I mean, you play him so you can get to these other studs, right?
Yeah.
I would just really, I just don't know much about NBA Showdown. I would just go with what Saberson told me. I mean,
man, I really got it myself. You make one comment on Twitter and you never know what's going to come back. I just commented on this best shooting guards of all time yesterday. And it had Reggie Miller fourth, which I thought was hilarious. And I don't think Reggie Miller is a top 10 shooting guard of all time. I don't even think it's really that close. And I like Reggie Miller, but like this is probably, I think people think of him with it in this range of other guys. The guy made 5 All-Star teams in 18 years. He's only been All-NBA third team, and it's been 3 times. And people are putting him ahead of guys like Clyde Drexler, George Gervin. And I'm just like, so I just said this Reggie's way too high. And I have been swarmed and inundated with comments, both for agreeing with me.
Those are interesting comparisons, though.
Drexler played in the same era.
No, I know that. I'm curious. Like Drexler versus Reggie Miller versus George Gervin.
How about, and then there's Tracy McGrady.
Oh, McGrady too, right?
McGrady, they had 10th.
Did he play long enough?
I don't think Reggie Miller would say that he was better than Tracy McGrady. I really don't. He's cocky, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately biased because of all the Reggie Miller Knicks stuff. He just destroyed the whole franchise. He literally destroyed the entire Knicks franchise.
I just think, I know, but I think this is what people think of. They everything with him is narrative based. It's all because Jordan said Indiana was the toughest team. By the way, that Indiana team was one of the best put together teams of all time. Literally one of the best.
With Rick Smits and
Rick Smits and Chris Mullin and Sam Perkins at the end of his career, and then you had both the Davis boys coming up. It was a good team.
Yeah.
I know because they gave us, and Jalen Rose.
There are a lot of really good teams that couldn't win because Jordan was in the league.
That's right.
How good was that Phoenix team? Are you kidding me?
No, that Phoenix team was awesome too.
That was like the greatest team in the history of the NBA, and they couldn't.
That was a great team. Yeah, and by the way, and a couple of those Knicks teams should have. You'd think Ewing would have won a title with maybe one of those Knicks.
Do you know? I mean, that with Barkley and you know how good Kevin Johnson was. I mean, are you kidding me? Like that.
Kevin Johnson was one of the most underrated players ever.
And Marley was on that team, and that was a. Tom Chambers, was he on that team? I forget. I don't remember.
Tom Chambers, yep. No, he wasn't. No, he had been gone by that point.
He was already gone by that point.
It was Marley, and but it was Barkley at his absolute apex.
I mean,
that was the best of Barkley.
And who was the other shooter? The other white guy. What was his name?
Hornacek.
Yes, right, Hornacek, right.
That was my team because it was the one time I rooted against the Lakers and my friends never let me live it down. I was 11 years old. They were playing the Lakers in the first round, that Phoenix team. And the Lakers somehow had a 2-0. The Lakers were under 500 that year. They were a terrible team. It was a rebuilding year. Sedale Threatt was our best player. So the Lakers were up 2-0 in this. And then,
I remember that. That was crazy.
It was a 3 out of 5. Yeah, and we were in an island in another country. And we found a place to watch the game, and I was rooting for. I was like, the Lakers will have plenty of other chances. They are always in it. They'll come back. And this one year, I want, and it was the first round. So like, I know Phoenix is the only team that can beat the Bulls. And I mean, they didn't beat the Bulls, but I was. I've never stopped getting shit from my friends because they know I'm the biggest sports fan, and I did root against the Lakers in one playoff series. It's true.
All right. I think I'm going to get out of here.
All
right. I did the same. I did the hockey. I did everything tonight. And yeah, so you and I have that other call tomorrow. We can't forget that, like 2 or 3 o'clock or something like that.
Shoot, I didn't. I have a doctor's appointment again.
Language.
Well, no, I think I can actually do the language. I just don't know what to do with the call because I didn't. It's my bad. I didn't put that in my calendar.
We'll talk. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay, sounds good. All right, good luck. Good luck, man.
Okay.
And to answer Don, your last question, stacking A's Texas would work. Would that work for single entry? Yeah, but again, still pretty chalky, but I think that's okay with single entry. And also it'll give you some flexibility. If your pitchers struggle, I would advise pivoting off of that. Yeah, Tatum, we sort of knew was out already, so nothing's really going to change there. Anyway, good luck to all you guys today. I hope you crush it. I will post my exposures in the Discord.